Hello, amazing business owners. Welcome to this episode of Business Straight Up, the business podcast for photographers and creatives. And today's episode is an amazing conversation with Kelli of Kelli Marie Photography. And she is a killer businesswoman with some amazing tips. We are going to talk about growing quickly and deciding what you can do to help your business grow fast, even if you're not booking as many clients as you want to be right now. We're also going to talk about model calls and revenue and an amazing client experience and pre-session payment plans. And oh my gosh, I feel like I'm looking at my notes right now and I could just go on and on about all of the amazing things that Kelli shares. So you might want to grab a pen and paper because seriously, the nuggets of wisdom that you will pull from this interview are just astounding. This episode is jam-packed full of value and awesome tips and tricks and things that you can learn more about and start implementing in your own business right now. So grab a pen and paper, and then I'm going to ask you to hit pause and head on over to iTunes to leave a review. If you like this episode or any past episodes, I would love to know your thoughts. I want to know what you need more of, what you need help with, the way that I could serve you better. What can I give you so that you can see more success in your business? Because that is what I want for you, for all of my students and all of my listeners, is for you to be able to design a business and life that you love. So without further ado, I feel like I'm talking so much and I just want to get to this amazing interview. I am so excited to introduce you to Kelli, and we're just going to have an amazing conversation. Hey there, awesome people. I am Brooke Summer, and you are listening to Business Straight Up, the podcast for creative entrepreneurs to learn, connect, grow, and build the business and life that they dream of. Welcome, let's get going and dive right in. Welcome, amazing business owners, entrepreneurs, artists, creatives, all of the above. I am so excited for today's episode. We have an amazing photographer and businesswoman available to help you, and we're going to go through so many amazing things. So I am so pleased to welcome Kelli with Kelli Marie Photography. Hi, Kelli. Hello. And Kelli and I are going to go through kind of like some business tough love today.
Yes.
Kind of the idea of like, let's pivot a little bit and change some things up so that you can see the kind of success that you want to see in your business. Because ultimately that's what we all want, right? Is to support our families, doing what we love.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So, this cracks me up. I have with all of my podcast guests, I send out a questionnaire, and Kelli, I asked her to do a one-line introduction, and she said tacos, dogs, always sunny, and chocolate. And I'm like, I am in love with her pretty much. And we're married. Sorry, Tom. Like girl crush, although I have kind of an unpopular opinion that I like nachos more than tacos because I like the crunch.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair.
I mean, really, it's the same ingredients, just on a different platform. So
Yeah. Yep. Sure is.
But Kelli, I'd love to know a little more about you. What is your story? Where did you come from? And what has your journey looked like moving into having such a successful business?
Oh man. So I, am one of those stereotypical people that was born with a Nikon in their hands. Like I literally, no joke, have photo albums of, I was probably 3-4 years old. I would steal my grandmother's camera and go out in her flower garden and take these blurry pictures, and she'd print them out for me and put them in a book. And I still, like, to this day have them. But, fast forward, my high school had photo classes, like, 35 millimeter. So I took all of those that were available, and, along comes college, and I'm like, what do I want to do with my life? And I was like, oh, I'll be a marine biologist.
Yes.
Just out of the field, and I looked at my course load freshman year and I was like, there is no chance that any of this is going to happen. So I just dropped everything and switched over to a photography major because I was like, I don't know what to do. And I graduated. I moved 1,000 miles away. I live in New Hampshire. I wanted to get out of the cold. And so he's my husband now. He was my boyfriend at the time. We moved to North Carolina for 5 years. And I was like, I want to be a wedding photographer. And that's what I did. And in 2015, we decided to move back to New Hampshire to be closer to family. And that's when I opened my first studio. And it's just been, a snowball effect ever since.
That's amazing. I feel like so many people don't really follow what they love to do, which kind of makes me sad. I see people kind of in jobs that they hate because it pays the bills, but you can do what you love and still pay the bills. So why not have
Yes,
the best of both worlds, right?
exactly.
Oh, I love that. So one of the things that you had mentioned was, and I quote, going from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6 to 12 months or less. And I love the way that you say things. They're just very relatable and not full of industry jargon and all that good stuff. So tell me in your mind what that means.
In regards to my business and what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like I said, my husband and I moved home to New Hampshire in 2015, and during that transition period, the year before we moved home, and then the year after we moved home, I was a wedding photographer. You book weddings very far in advance, and so I basically had to go get a job for those 2 years, the year before we moved and then the year we moved, because you have that weird transition period where you don't really have any business.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember being so miserable. And I was like,
Yes.
I've got to, remarket, get out there and just get going. And so in 2015, that was kind of my focus. I did very, very little photography work in 2015. It was, getting my boudoir business set up, doing weddings and lots of marketing, lots of, model calls and sales, and just trying to reestablish myself. In 2016, I opened my studio here in New Hampshire. It was my first studio, and it was really scary for me because I had never actually had a studio before. I had always worked, remotely. And I was like, okay, I've got to make this work. And so I opened my studio July 2016, and by August 2016, I quit my job.
Wow.
And that year, 2016 wasn't a great year financially for me, but I made more with photography than I did my full-time job, which for a lot of people is, the ultimate goal. Compared to what I'm doing now, it's a lot different, but and then in 2017 was my first 12-month calendar year full time. I grossed $241,000, my first full 12 months in business. And then the 12 months after that, I did $416,000 in gross revenue. So 0 to 60 has always been my mindset. And I really, kind of like to teach people how to do that.
Going all in. I could not agree more. I want to kind of go back to something you said in that I think it was 2016. You said you did very little photography work, or maybe 2015. But I want to kind of focus on that and ask you, what did you do? Because I feel like so many photographers feel like if they're not shooting, that they're not moving their business forward, and nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah. So I still in 2015 and in 2016, I still in my mind wanted to do wedding photography.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was still, advertising on the Knot and Wedding Wire. So I was doing a good amount of weddings, and, to the tune of like 20, 30 weddings a year, which I mean, that's a lot, especially when you're, working a full-time job. And it was at that point where I finally hit the tipping point where I was like, oh, I'm finally making, good money with this stuff. I can leave my job, that I realized that I don't want to do weddings anymore.
Yes.
And so, I had always done boudoir. I started doing boudoir in 2011, and it had always just been, five a year, 10 a year. And in 2015, I was like, I really want to make a go at that also. So it was, model calls, portfolio building, getting people in. I did a lot of sessions for free or very low cost because I know that I needed, new images to market for the space that I had in New Hampshire and to get, new faces and new work on my website to market with. So, everything that I did was very strategic. It might not have been super profitable, but it was always, the end goal was always to move forward and to market and to, have new stuff to show so that we can bring in, that new business.
Yes. And one thing, again, sorry, as soon as you say something like a nugget, I write it down and then I go back.
Yeah.
um, one thing that you had said is you did a lot of sessions for free. And I've actually done quite a few articles on why not to work for free. But when I say that, I'm talking about the ones that people say, oh, you'll get exposure. And I'm like, no. Um, there are times that we work for free when we are building our business and moving forward. And I feel like it kind of gets a bad rap in a lot of ways, but you do what you got to do to get your name known, to get the portfolio that you want, and all of those good things.
Yeah. There has to be a strategy for everything that you do, especially if it doesn't make you money. I don't know about you, but I don't get up and go to work every day for free. Like this isn't a charity.
Right.
This is a business. I want to make money. I have bills to pay. I'm the breadwinner in our family. And so everything that I do has to have a reason behind it. And so I learned early on from a mentor of mine who is a, super successful photographer. He always told me, if you approach me, it's full price. If I approach you, it's free.
Yes.
And so that's kind of always been something that stuck with me and that I've used going, into my business. And even to this day, there are certain things that I have done for free. Just a few months ago, I added some new sets to my studio and I wanted to market those because it's something that, I can upcharge current clients for. But if you don't have examples of what that's going to look like, the client can't visualize that themselves. And so they won't be interested in it. So I've had past clients come in and I have shot them for free for specific things like that when I need something. That doesn't mean I'm giving them anything for free. Sometimes I do, if it's a really good past client of mine. Who has spent, a good amount of money or referred me a lot of people, I will throw them some digital files for free. But I just make sure, that I'm not making a habit out of it. I mean, I'm talking in the last 3 years, I maybe have done this like 4 times. So it's definitely not all the time, but I think there's a time and place for doing things that you need that benefit you, for free. But yeah, that's kind of my policy with that.
Definitely. And I love what you said that I don't get up and go to work for free. And I feel like so many women have a lot of guilt behind that, which kind of blows me away sometimes because you wouldn't go to a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job for free.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't, there are things that I love to do and I will do those for free, but at the end of the day, when it comes to working with clients and running a business, it has to be for profit.
Yes, definitely. Otherwise, by the IRS definition, you don't have a business, you have a hobby that's very expensive.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That is so true. I love, love, love. Sorry, I have all sorts of notes already. I'm all over the place. But I want to kind of ask you to simplify. Now, obviously, you did a ton of different things in that year, but if you had to simplify that growth down to just three things that made it possible to grow so much in such a short amount of time, what would you say those three things are?
For me, during that year, model calls model calls and model calls. There you go. Just getting bums in the seat, getting people in front of me, getting new images to share, and building that clientele that was going to speak highly of me.
Yes. And I know how I run model calls, and it's a little different from some of the templates that are out there. So how do you do your model call? And if you could give 3 best tips for that, what would they be?
That's going to vary based off of how established the person is that's taking my advice.
Hmm. Yes.
Because in 2015, although I had years of experience behind me, I was in a new market in a new place. And so I was essentially starting from zero. Um, so during that time, being, let's just say I was brand new, um, at that time I was waiving the session fee. And, I've always collected some form of a deposit to prevent, people from not showing up.
Hmm.
And, if even if the client at that point chose not to buy anything, which it happened once or twice, not very often, but even if the client chose not to buy anything, it was a true model call. I truly needed those images to share for marketing. So, I was doing in person sales with those clients. But if they chose not to buy anything, I still was using those images. So the advice that I would give now for somebody who's a little more established would be very different.
And for someone who's more established, so I see this like shared in photography groups, and it always makes me very curious. People say don't share the images on social media if someone doesn't buy anything. But I feel like that kind of almost makes it look like it wasn't a model call, like it was some sort of marketing scam. What do you think about that?
Um, I do follow that policy per se. I will wait, a certain period of time before I share anything.
Mhm.
There's 2 reasons to do a model call. Either number one, you have, empty dates in your calendar that you need to fill, or number two, you actually have new sets or new ideas that you want to explore, and you don't want to worry about doing that with a full paying client. Um,
Mhm.
so if you have new ideas that you're truly wanting to explore, I mean, you're going to want to use those images for marketing, but maybe you, instead of approaching somebody in a client sense, maybe you really get somebody in who is like a model or a friend or even a past client that you liked working with. And, if they want to buy the images, great. But at the end of the day, if they don't, you're doing it for purpose. But if you have empty dates on your calendar and you're trying to get people in and you're doing in person sales, I probably would, hold off 3 to 6 months to share those. But, my policy with clients is if you don't buy it at the in person sales appointment, they're not available for purchase afterwards. So even if that client wanted to come back, technically they're not available for sale.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And I think the most important piece of that is that no matter what you choose as a policy for your model call or in your business, that you have an end goal, like something that you want to achieve, even if it is just to have new images of these particular sets.
Exactly.
Perfect. I'm a huge fan of you are the business owner, you make the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
And so everyone does things a little differently, but there are certain things that are best practices. And when you want to learn something like that, it is always good to be able to take that information and run with it instead of insisting that it won't work, like I see
Sure.
so many people do.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know that client experience is something that's very important to you. It is to me as well. I do a lot of things in my studio that people think are dumb, and I don't even care because it's important to me.
Yeah.
It can mean so many different things to so many different people. What does that look like for you?
Client experience is something that has always been at the forefront of what I do in my mind when I'm working on my business. I read probably the first 15 pages of Sarah Petty's Worth Every Penny book. And that was it. I never read the rest. Maybe someday I'll get to it. But that was, one thing she went into, and, light bulb moment. And of course, after reading those pages, tangent, I go to my business and I work on that. And I never go back to the rest. But, client experience is the most important thing that you can do for your business, because when somebody comes in and they work with you and they have a neutral so experience, if you have an average experience and it didn't blow your mind, you're not so crazy about it that you're going to really spread the word. And if you come in and you have a horrible experience, you're definitely going to spread the word about that.
Yes.
But if you come in and you have this like mind blowing, life changing experience, and everything from the booking call to your delivery of the images, if everything is above and beyond, you are going to rave about what you experienced, to the point where you're going to want your friends and your family and your coworkers, you're going to want them to have that too, because it was so good for you. And so that has been something that I am always working on, whether it's, the emails that I send out to my clients, or, the snacks and the drinks that we have at the studio the day of their shoot, making sure that, the lingerie that we have, that we just have so many options in our client wardrobe, and for every size and shape and color. Every detail is super important when it comes to client experience.
Yes. And I think one thing that kind of gets lost in that is that some people assume that it means you don't make any mistakes. And that's not the case at all. I know for me personally, I had a print that was really, really, really late. I forgot to order it. It was the one thing out of the order I forgot to order. And I kept her in the loop and kept emailing her and calling her and letting her know and apologizing. And I sent her a gift afterwards. And I messed up and I was straightforward about it. But to include that in an overall amazing client experience can be huge for someone.
Yeah, I mean, no person is perfect. We are a small business, and when you're juggling 20 plates at a time, it's easy to mess up and it's easy to forget things. And what's important in that is, being candid with your client. Like, they know that you're a human being, and if they've already had this amazing experience and you made this one little mistake, it's so not going to be a big deal in comparison with everything else that you've done for them.
Definitely. I could not agree more. I think that just being real with your clients can go a long way.
Yes, yeah, that's totally my policy.
So, what kind of things do you include in your client experience that set you apart? I know you had talked about lingerie and you have a lingerie closet. Are there any things that you have intentionally included to set you apart as different in your area and in your market?
Well, we definitely, I mean, our reputation and the experience has really built us kind of the title of being, the most popular studio around. And I really think it's because we are full service. We call clients before they book. We send them, 20 to 30 emails pre-shoot to prepare them. My clients come in and they're like, "Oh my God, everything is so thorough. I am so prepared. I don't have any questions." It's all very clear and concise and put together. The day of the shoot, we provide, hair and makeup, and they just love that. And it happens right at the studio. Our whole studio, it was custom. So we're in a commercial building. And when we rented the space, we gutted it. I worked with an interior designer. We designed, this whole space. And we have this whole separate room. It's probably, I don't know, 12 by 15. And it's got a hair and makeup station. It's got, a huge built-in wardrobe with, sizes extra small through 6X in lingerie. We have shoes, we have jewelry. We have so much stuff. And then our whole studio space, the actual shooting space, is all luxury, oversized, high-end furniture. And it's all very cohesive cohesive because I worked with that designer and she helped me create, this cohesive space that's just very polished and clean and put together. So, the combination of those things, and then of course, just practicing my skill and being the best I can be, we only offer clients like top of the line products. So everything we do is luxury. I mean, the water that we give them is Perrier, like everything is high end and luxury.
Those little things mean so much. Like I was trying to explain to my husband with snacks for the studio. I try to get things that women don't normally get for themselves, things like fruit snacks.
Yeah.
That I know it sounds silly because they're a kid thing, but I was like, no, they have to be the organic, like the special fruit snacks. And he's like, are you serious?
No, yeah, no, that it's funny that I have those too. And I make sure that all of our snacks are like organic and healthy. Like we have like organic popcorn and like the organic fruit snacks and, just like, yeah, everything high end, everything luxury and just things that feel, extra, like above and beyond.
Definitely. Absolutely. I agree completely. There are little things like that that can just make or break someone's experience. The difference between having a bottle of Aquafina and a bottle of even Fiji. I really like the Voss water too. I just like the bottles because they're pretty. But those things make a big difference.
Yeah, I agree.
So you had said that you send 20 to 30 emails before a shoot. And I'm curious if you have tried like a full-on welcome packet and you prefer the individual emails, or did you just start with the emails and you haven't tried both?
Well, within the series of emails that we send clients, there are little magazines. Like we have a session guide magazine that when you inquire with us, you get the session guide magazine. So, there's still text in the body of the email, but then you click on the link and it brings you to this, well put together, polished, kind of like frequently asked questions type magazine. And then we have within the emails, once somebody books, we have things like a wardrobe guide magazine, a prep guide magazine. We have our pricing guides, which is put together just like those magazines. Everything, is just very cohesive and polished. Like I said, like the rest of our studio, it just goes along with our brand.
Yes, those things matter so much. And I've seen so many people just kind of blow them off and they think that it's not a big deal, but it so is.
Well, it's a lot of work to put those things together. And that's why this year, we've spent a lot of time, or I've spent a lot of time working on our systems. I'm a very big systems person and I want to set things up and not worry about them. And I don't want to have to sit in front of my computer and send 50, 60 emails a day. I want it to happen automatically. And so it is a lot of time to sit down and to put those things together. I use Dubsado. And it takes time. And that's why this year I've started selling things like our inquiry workflow, our client workflow, our prepayment guide, because I've already done all the work and put that stuff together. And it's taken me, hundreds of hours to just go in and perfect everything. And that way people can just buy it, copy paste, here you go. And, somebody's already done it for you. Because I see so much value in that, and I think other people do too. They just get overwhelmed because they don't know where to start.
Yes. Oh my gosh. There is so much value in buying a template. Like just dive in, make it happen, because then you don't have to go through it. Why reinvent the wheel? If something's working well, then go for it. Customize it to fit your needs.
Yeah, time is money. And, if it's going to take you, 20 hours to learn a program and then another 80 hours to put all the information in, or you can spend a couple $100 and bada bing, bada boom, it's done. Like that saves you weeks worth of work.
Yes. And those weeks add up so fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've always said my job is to take pictures. Like I'm a photographer. I'm not, an admin assistant. I'm not a photo editor. And that's why something like Dubsado with a good workflow, it takes over that so I can do my job.
Yes. And the automation with Dubsado, and I use Pixify, but they're very similar. It is so life-saving and it does take time up front, but in the long run, you're saving so much.
Oh my God. It's like hiring somebody that works for you 20, 30 hours a week, but you don't have to pay them.
Yes, it is amazing.
Yeah.
So, part of a successful business is consistency in policies. And I know that some photographers are nervous about having policies and they think that it might mean their client experience goes downhill. So, can you talk a little bit about some of your policies that you think are super important and how they actually serve your clients instead of causing problems?
I'm a big policy person, and they used to scare me too, especially when I was first starting out. But at the end of the day, if you don't have policies, you're more likely to have problems. And I
Hmm.
don't like problems. they
Me
they take
neither.
up too much of my time. They give me anxiety. Like I'm all set. So if you have like really solid policies and a really solid contract and solid systems in place, there shouldn't, in theory, be any issues. And so for me, like the biggest one for me is my final sale, like my final sale policy. So when a client comes in and they work with me, whether they pre purchase a package or they wait till their ordering appointment and buy a package, they cannot. And I say this to them, I'm like, once you leave here today, you cannot call me, text me, Facebook me, Instagram me, email me, or send me a letter in the mail, canceling, changing, or altering your order in any way. Period. Like, no, like, not 5 minutes after you leave, you cannot come back here and make any changes. Like, that for me has saved me so much time and so much headache. And I used to deal with that all the time. And that for me is my biggest policy. And I will not bend it for anybody.
That's amazing. I wish that I had been stricter about that sooner.
Yeah,
I have recently, but I was not always, and it was a huge pain.
it was. And, you lose money because this is an emotional, business, and it's an emotional investment for women. And once they're out the door, that emotion is gone. They're no longer connected to those images and that product. And they start to have buyer's remorse. And I understand buyer's remorse, but I take so much time with my clients during their ordering appointment. Like they get 2 hours. So if they're having buyer's remorse or they're worried about the money, it would have come up already. So at this point, they
Yes.
leave and they get in their own head and they want to backtrack. And so I just make that policy black and white. They sign an extra form before they leave and it's just done. And they know it's done. And since I started doing that, I have not had one single person come back and even ask to make changes or cancel or reduce.
That's amazing. It is something that is so frustrating, especially when it's not only costing you money, but time, which of course we already talked about. Time is money. And it's just frustrating to have to go back and change everything.
It is. It is. And it's not something that I want to deal with.
Right. And you're the business owner, so you get to make that rule.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, I love that. So let's kind of pivot a little bit and talk about pre-session payment plans.
Ooh,
I,
girl.
oh man, I know this is something that you're going to be like standing on a box, being like, everyone has to do this.
Yes.
And it's something that I'm in the process of implementing right now. It goes live on July 1st.
Good.
So for me, it's brand new. And can you tell the listeners a little bit about what this means? Why would someone prepay for their order and everything before the session even happens?
Yeah. So, in a perfect world, we would all have millions of dollars and money wouldn't be a problem. But unfortunately, that's not, the way things go. And for most of us, like our services and our products come at a premium price. And clients, you know, in my business, you can come in and you can pay in full, or you can prepay me if you want to alleviate any of the financial burden. Um, and this all started in fall of 2018. So it's been almost a year. Well, maybe I started in the summer. I don't remember the exact date. But essentially, what happened was I was doing like everybody else, and I was letting clients come to their shoot, see their images, place their order, and then do payment plans after the session. And then they would wait, of course, to receive anything. But I was running into issues left and right where this was declining. This client was emailing me to cancel. This client needed to change their payment plan. This client needed to do this or that. And I was like, I'm sick of sitting in front of the computer. I'm sick of not getting my money. And I just don't want to deal with this anymore. So without skipping a beat in my business, like I didn't announce it, I don't call it anything different. And I think that's the part that people miss a little bit about transitioning from post payment plans to prepayment plans is they confuse themselves and therefore they confuse their clients. And you just have to keep it simple. Like a payment plan is a payment plan, whether it's before or after the shoot. I just prefer to know that I'm getting paid before I do any work. And so with the pre-session payment plans, my studio, like we're busy. I do 3 to 4 shoots a week, week in, week out, and we're booking into 2020 of next year. So we're booking 6 to 9 months out. So that's plenty of time. Like, why would you just collect a session fee and nothing else when they can take that 6 to 9 months and do a pre-session payment plan? They've seen your portfolio, they know your work, so they know that they like what they see. So it's just a matter of figuring out what products they're interested in, or even just like a monetary value for some kind of budget. Split it up, set it up in Square, do automatic payments, make them sign a payment plan contract. And then they come in for their shoot, they enjoy their experience, and they don't have to worry about giving you money. Of course, the idea always is to upsell, but still at the end of the day, if you're happy with what they purchased and you're happy with the sale, then, an upsell is just the icing on the cake.
I love that. Personally, I'm kind of nervous about all of it, but I'm so excited at the same time. And some of the things, as I'm sure you know, that I've implemented in my business that were the scariest are the best.
Yeah, I was totally nervous. I was like, people aren't going to go for this. People are going to want to wait and see their pictures and then do a payment plan. But, if you just deliver it to your clients, like this is what you've always done and this is the way everybody does it and it's no big deal, they're going to buy into it. And if you believe in it, then they're going to believe in it. And honestly, like I have had higher sales than ever, and I have had more people do the pre-session payment plans. I mean, if you think about it, it really truly does make sense. Why wait 6 months for your shoot and then take another 6 months for your payment plan when you can just use that time and get your images right away? Like it truly does make more sense, and it does benefit the client, I believe, as well.
Absolutely. Would this also work for someone who is not booked out 6 to 9 months in advance?
I guess it depends, and it depends on your prices, it depends on your clientele. But even for somebody, let's say they book a month out. Let's say your album is $1,500. They could, divide that into 2 or 3 payments before their shoot still. If they want to. I just, at this point in my life, like I said, the less problems I have, the happier I am. So, if they want to do a payment plan, then I would advise them to do it that way. Or if they need more time to come up with that money, then I would push their shoot out. I would rather push their shoot out and get that money beforehand, knowing that going into the session, I had already been paid, than to get them in, do their shoot, and then chase them around for payments. So, there might be a little bit of a transition period there, but at the end of the day, the money would still be coming in. So even if you're not booking out, 6 months, 8 months, whatever, I still believe there's some finagling there to be done. And you will still have clients that come in and that just pay you in full and they don't need a payment plan at all. And those are the ones you could book for a sooner date.
Definitely. And what percent of your clients are doing these prepayment plans?
Most of them, I would say at this point, like more than 50% of my clients are doing the pre-session payment plans. And the reason why is because of the way that I set it up. Part of our workflow in Dubsado, we have this little, breadcrumb trail that is basically leading them to, there's all these different nuggets of information that's leading them to wanting to set up the pre-session payment plan. There are perks in it for the client. They can get different bonuses. I offer like about 10 to 15 different bonuses that they get for free if they do a pre-session payment plan. But I also just talk to people on the phone, for their consults and talk about the pre-session payment plans. And I'm surprised at the number of people that book 6 months, 8 months out. And they're like, oh, just run my card for the full package. I don't need a payment plan, but I'll just pay for it now.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
nice.
like here's $5,000, here's $6,000, like before my shoot. And I'm like, okay.
That's interesting. I wonder if it has to do with like a partner seeing the bank account.
I have no idea. I don't ask.
That's funny. That's
Yep.
interesting.
As long as they're paying me, I am good to go.
Right? What do you say if someone says, well, I'm not sure I'm going to like the photos because I don't look like a model. I don't look like the girls on your website, because I hear that all the time.
Yeah. We do a lot of before and after pictures in our Facebook group. We have before and afters on our website. Our clients post a lot in our group. So part of our referral program, which is included in part of like my Dubsado workflow, is, they can make a post in the group and they get different perks for that. They can leave us reviews on Google. None of our this is what I tell them, none of our clients are models. If you like the images in my portfolio and there's women in there that you can relate to, for their like body type, your images are going to look like that. It's all posing and lighting and wardrobe and, of course, a little bit of retouching. We're not heavy retouchers, but, all of our clients are just regular women. They're not models. So they can choose to pre-purchase. They don't have to. I do still have a handful of people who come in and see their images the day of, but they just know that they don't get any bonuses when they pay and they have to pay in full that day. There are no payment plans after the shoot.
Perfect. I think I'm so excited to see how this works in my own business. Obviously it would just make life a little easier for everyone.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to implement
Yeah,
that.
it's really great. It's worked really well for me. Everybody that has like purchased the system from me has, just said that it is just changing their business. They're getting more money, from their clients, higher sales. And it helps with the months that you're a little slower too, to have that money, trickling in. And it just kind of spreads things out. It just makes, your income a little more steady. And my income this year, I'm doing the same amount of shoots as I did last year, and I'm trending to do like $150,000 more this year with the same amount of work.
Wow. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I couldn't be happier.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So with the prepayment plans, what would you say are your three most popular bonuses that your clients can choose?
Honestly, that's a tough one because I change them a lot, just depending on like what we're doing. Most of the ones that my clients choose are the service-based bonuses, whether that's coming into the studio for a pre-session fitting or even just like extra outfits. Those are definitely like our most popular bonuses. The mobile app, I do sticky albums, so I pay a yearly fee of like, I don't know, $300 or something. So essentially they're costing me, $2 an app if I do 150 shoots, which is about, what I trend. So at $2 a person, that's a really popular bonus.
I love sticky.
Oh my God, same. I've been using them I signed up for them when they first like started, and I just have never let my membership like lapse. Clients love them. They love them.
And you can use it for so many different things too. Like, of course, I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but we use it for partnerships and stuff too.
Yeah. See, I literally just use it I don't know how to do anything but just the mobile app for the clients. Yeah. I'm one of those people where like, if it doesn't benefit me immediately, I'm not going to take the time to learn, but I probably should, maybe one of these days.
I understand. No, that totally makes sense. I think that's interesting that they choose more of the service-based bonuses instead of like extra prints or something.
Yeah, because I do have like a handful of different products on my bonus list, but they really kind of gravitate towards the service-based ones. I'm not mad about it. It doesn't cost me anything, but it is kind of interesting that they would opt for that over, the products.
That is really, really interesting. I would have thought the opposite. So,
Yep. I've even had like some of my bigger sales. One of my bonuses is half off another shoot within 12 months. And I've had several people go for that. And I mean, that's great because that just guarantees me, another session.
yes. Wow, that's amazing. What advice would you give to someone who wants to do the pre-session payment plans, but they're afraid that it will scare away clients or that no one will do it?
I can understand the fear, but if you think about it, it doesn't make any sense why it would scare away a client. Number one, they're optional. Like my clients don't have to prepay for anything. They don't have to. It's a choice. Number two, if you're booking in advance at all, then you're just wasting client time because they're going to want to do a payment plan afterwards where they already waited to come in for their shoot. So it really does make it easier. And then number three, to prepay, it just is alleviating that financial stress the day of the shoot where, they have to rob Peter to pay Paul kind of thing to give you the money because they're going to want more images than they think they do.
Yes. Have you had any pushback from clients about their partners or their spouses?
You mean like in terms of like bank accounts?
Well, more things like, well, he wants to see the photos first, stuff like
I
that.
don't allow that. I don't do online galleries. I don't allow anybody else to come to the in person sales appointment. So that wouldn't be an option, anyways. And I don't allow second orders. Like you're buying your images that day, and that's the only time you can buy them. So buy what you want, and the rest go in the trash.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like so many women are so invested in what their partner thinks instead of what they think of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, a good chunk of my clients really do this for themselves anyways. I mean, I have a lot, like I say, it's probably 50% do it for themselves and 50% do them for the partner. But what I said to you, like with we don't allow people to your ordering appointment. We don't allow second orders. When somebody does say that to me, because I do get that sometimes, they're like, well, can my husband come? Or, can I get can we get an online galleries for him to see? And that's my response. We don't allow anybody else. We don't allow a second order. Come pick out your images. Like we just need this process to be simple. And you're my client, not your spouse, not your friend. So you're the one that's going to make all the decisions.
Definitely. I love that. That makes so
Yeah,
much
and it
sense.
empowers them to be in that position of, making decisions and being in control. And this whole experience is about empowerment. So, they need to step into that role and be comfortable making those decisions.
Absolutely. And so many women are not. And I think kind of pushing someone to make that decision will allow them or maybe remind them to have confidence in other situations as well.
Yeah, I've just had some really negative experiences having other people at the ordering appointment, and that was enough for me to set that policy. And, back to what we talked about before, that's a policy I do not bend on.
Yep. And again, when you're the business owner, you get to make the rules.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, I have been in kind of a tough love kind of mood lately in working with some of my students. And if you had to tell someone that is just getting started in their business and not booking the clients that they want or need, something important, and give them a little bit of tough love, what would you tell them?
Well, two things really. I mean, when you raise your prices and you charge a premium price, all those clients that drive you crazy and that argue with you about price and argue with you about your policies, once you're charging enough, those people are going to go away.
Yeah.
People are so scared to raise their prices, but I tell even brand new people, whether you're brand new or you've been doing this for 20 years, the same amount of work goes into every shoot, whether you're doing it or I'm doing it. And when Target opened their doors, they didn't have lower prices. Their products cost what they cost today, And so, a $500 session fee, if you're including hair and makeup, is average. It's reasonable. And that, barrier is going to keep those people away that are going to drive you nuts. And if you need to run a sale, but the session fee value is always the same. And the albums, unless you're printing with, a low end company, the albums are expensive and you need to make a profit on that. So there's no reason anybody's selling an album for, $1,200 or less because I know what they cost to print and I know the the work that goes into making them. So, not being afraid to charge, a standard price right out of the gate, right at the beginning, but you also have to have the work to back it up. So, if your skill level is not, on par, work on your skill, work on your skill. Leave those prices the same. You can always run a sale, but work on your skill and build your confidence talking about your price sheet.
Absolutely. I wish I could just like shake my students and say, you need to listen to this because it's so true, especially about so many of the haggling clients just disappearing.
Well, I've been there. I charged $600 for an album. I had $150 session fee just 2 years or 3 years ago. What year were we in? I don't know. 2015, 2016, 2015, my session fee was $150. 2016, my session fee was $250. And it was a great year financially, but oh my God, what a pain in the ass. Like it was a disaster. Cancellations, no shows, reschedules, no sales. I mean, it was a disaster. And so in 2017, I raised my session fee to 400. And then, 6 months later, I raised it to 500, and that's where it's been. And it has just been smooth, easy sailing ever since. There's something about that barrier that just everybody that drives you crazy, they go away.
It's so true. And I have seen it so much in my own pricing and my own business in so many different ways, not just the session fee, but the products as well. Like they're more invested, not just financially, but emotionally in this.
And they respect you because you're priced to a point where you know what you're doing, or at least from the outside looking in, that's what it seems like.
Yes. Yeah. There's a quote, I think it was, oh gosh, I'm going to butcher this, but when a woman knows what she brings to the table, she's not afraid to eat alone.
Yes.
And when you know your worth and you know that what you're charging is worth it and that what you do matters, then that confidence is apparent to other people, especially your clients.
Yes, I absolutely buy into that. And everybody, in these Facebook groups online, in these forums, they, look at people who are charging these rates and they say, where do you find these clients? They're the same clients. We're finding them the same way. They just, it's the respect and the quality, and they know that they're investing in a luxury experience. Photography services are not a necessity. This is not food or rent or clothing or hot water. Like this is a luxury. And if somebody is looking for cheap, let them find it someplace else. Because I promise you, all of the people that she'll send to you will be just like her. So look for those people who will value you and be confident in yourself and your business, and you will attract the right people.
Oh my gosh. I feel like this needs to be said again. If someone is looking for cheap, they can look someplace else. I love that.
Yeah. Like, don't look here because that is not what you're going to get. And I have people that laugh at me on the phone all the time about my pricing and they hang up, and it happens to all of us. No matter how long you've been doing this, no matter what you charge, how many shoots you do, I get people all the time that tell me my pricing's ridiculous, or I tell them that the $500 session fee doesn't include anything. And, they laugh, and I'm just like, yep, that's the price. And if it's not for you, that's okay, but that does not change my price. So people get scared when people say no, but all the no's will just bring you to the yeses.
That is so, so true. I had one woman tell me when I talked to her about my pricing, she goes, well, that's not cheap. I said, honey, I don't want to be cheap.
Exactly. Who's cheap?
And she looked at me kind of stunned. And I was like, do you want to be called cheap?
Yeah. I don't. Do you want cheap naked pictures of yourself? Like, no.
Right? Yeah. No, it's just not a service to skip on, in my opinion.
That's like getting a cheap boob job.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And then like one nipple is way up the top and one is
there are some things that you can get a good deal on, like your groceries or a pair of pants, but there are some things that you just really should pay the price.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, thank you so much for being here and taking the time out of your day. Kelli, where can people find more about you, especially the prepayment plan because y'all, she has a system that gives you all of the emails. Like it's all typed out for you. So where can people find that?
So my website is KelliMarie photography.com. There's a link there to the store, and you'll see my full Dubsado workflow, the pre-session payment plan. And even if, maybe you have some of those things already, we even just have things like our referral program, which is really great, and our inquiry guide, which will help you, get inquiries and follow up with inquiries. So it is broken down into certain segments if there's a certain area that, you need help with. But the full workflow is really going to give you, your whole business in a box.
I love this. I am a firm believer. I have my own templates, but I've also purchased templates. Like I have Alex's phone script.
Yes.
I have so many amazing templates because if something's working, I'm not going to go and reinvent it myself. Why?
Yep.
It's a waste of time.
There's too many, people have been there, people have done that. And rather than take years to have mistakes that they've already learned, why not just pay for their expertise so you can move on with your business and start making the real money, as soon as possible.
Oh my gosh, that is so, so true. So I am so excited for people to see this. I'm nervous about the prepayment plans myself, but I'm also really excited. I think it's going to be
You got it. Don't skip a beat. It's just another business day.
It is. It totally is. And I'm excited to see how that works out. So thank you so much for being here today, Kelli. And if there is any question that has come up as you have been listening to this and you're like, wait, what did she mean by that? Then please, by all means, you are welcome to ask in the community. The URL for that is businessstraightup.com/community. It's just a little group. We're not very big, but you know what? That makes it even better, a little more intimate. And if you loved this episode or any of our episodes, if you can head over to iTunes and leave a review, I would so appreciate that. I know it takes a couple minutes, but I so appreciate seeing what you need and how I can serve you so that we can get these amazing guests like Kelli, who just rocked this episode so much. So leave a review. If you have any questions, let me know in the community. And I can't wait to see the amazing changes that you make in your business and how you impact the world. Have an amazing day. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to Business Straight Up. I'm so glad that you could join us today. Check out the show notes for this and all of the episodes at businessstraightuppodcast.com. And I can't wait to talk with you again. Have a great day.